What's going on, guys? I'm Chris with Swamp Rabbit Moving, and today we got a special guest, Donald Barbour. How you doing, Donald?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for coming out. So I always like to kick these off with what really got you into real estate. You know, I think it's a good segue into the episode.
Well, it's an interesting question because actually coming out of high school, so we're talking 1990, I was going to get into real estate up in Virginia. Went to a 2-year community college, and as I was getting things rolling, graduate, and all that stuff, people start saying, "Hey, you work great with children," because I was coaching year-round swimming at the time. "You should be a teacher." So I went back to school, got my teaching degree, and then a master's degree. Kept teaching for almost 15 years, and then my wife had an opportunity to come down to Greenville, and I was like, I'm a little disgruntled with the politics of education, loved everything else about it, but I was like, this is my opportunity to, since I'm having to leave the area, might as well restart. And so I took about a 20-year detour.
Okay.
to finally, so I started real estate school within a week after moving here. And then within 2 months, I was at Keller Williams at that time and met with them in January 2015, kicked off. So, yeah.
Do you think going back in time, you would have stuck to your original 1990 year plan and stuck with real estate and not did the teaching? Or do you think, that's kind of helped shape you into who you are today?
I honestly believe that I was led to education for a reason, and I think that it's helped to more than prepare me for real estate in terms of dealing with different personalities and
stress
and the stress of it all and learning how to read people and get a vibe of the situation. So as much as I'd like to say I'd go back and change it, the reality is I don't think I would be as successful or prepared today without that teaching experience.
Yeah. So I always kind of hear it's like, oh, realtors, all they do is just show houses and get paid. Kind of dive into that because I know a bunch of realtors and I know that's not the truth. 9 times out of 10, you're working around the clock.
Yes. So hours are definitely longer. There's more time is of the essence. So there is a pressure of time, whether it's negotiations or multiple offers or repairs have to be decided on this date. We now have termination fees on the line as well as earnest money on the line. So people forget that they play a huge role in protecting your biggest
asset.
Your biggest asset.
Awesome. So kind of everybody I've met has a little bit of a different take on client experience. Tell me, so if somebody were to choose you as their realtor, walk us through that client journey with Donald Barbour.
Okay, well, the first thing is coming together and meeting for some sort of consultation, whether it's on the buying side or listing side, because that is where you discuss the current market and that is where you set expectations, especially when they're a first-time home buyer. They have so many people sometimes in their ear that bought, Aunt Jane that bought a home back in 1992 who, quote unquote, knows a thing or two about real estate. Those are the type of people that will blow up a deal in a heartbeat, especially once inspections come and you got to negotiate the repairs. So you got to talk to them and say, hey, your inspection report is going to be 40 to 60 pages long. And my job is to take you through that report and point out things that are typical cosmetic stuff versus things that absolutely need to be done.
Yeah.
And so those are just setting those expectations up front from making an offer, walking them through the contract to close process, how to communicate best with them. Some like phone calls, some want text or emails. So, it's definitely filling each other out to see how to be successful in this journey of purchasing or selling your home.
Absolutely. Do you think it's like a kind of like a fine balance of not letting your ego get in the way of fixing what needs to be fixed, and then also holding your ground on what doesn't need to be fixed in order to keep that contract in play?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, things that involve heating and air issues or a plumbing leak or
Roof.
a roof, yeah, that's a big one. Those are things that electrical issues. And then someone that wants an older home with character, well, guess what? So many codes have changed over time. A lot of those things have been quote unquote grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Like take a two-prong outlet versus a three-prong, where they've switched it
Yeah.
to a three-prong, but now that's ungrounded. So it's having that conversation. Well, it's important to ground your wet areas, your kitchen and your bathroom, not necessarily your bedroom or living room area. So,
Yeah. How important is it for is it for the realtor and the client to get along in a sense and have like a good connection?
I mean, it's imperative to having an overall successful transaction. I mean, you don't have to be best friends and go
Yeah.
out for a beer or anything afterwards, but just keeping things in line with having a win-win transaction with both sides, and to get your ultimate goal, which is to purchase or sell the home. So, yeah, having a good relationship is highly important.
Yeah. So you've been here since 2015, so you've kind of seen the development of Greenville. Are there any up and coming areas that you're seeing that you're excited about?
Well, obviously Woodruff comes to mind as an
Yeah.
area. I think of that as Simpsonville from probably now 20 years ago, where you can see them putting the infrastructure in and everything, and you have a lot of areas, and I think we're slowly starting to see things push into, say, Gray Court and Lawrence, as Fountain Inn is
Yeah.
expanding out. So the Reedville area, Moore and Lyman, Duncan, all those, you just see things progressing. When you start to see the downtown area start to get new sidewalks and lighting and all, that development's coming there.
Do you think that they're growing that way just because Greenville doesn't have any more capacity, or is it more of a price point thing?
It's more of a price point thing. Greenville has plenty of capacity in
Yeah.
terms of homes on the market. It's affordable homes on the market. You were starting. I mean, when I first started, it was easy to buy in downtown Greenville. You could get a home for $250 or less.
Yeah.
If you find something $250 or less around downtown Greenville now, it needs about $100,000 probably in fix up
sure.
repairs. So yeah.
Tell us about one of the most rewarding parts or rewarding times of your real estate journey.
I would say, the first year of capping was a big deal for me. That's roughly selling. I think that was in my second year of real estate, and that's basically in the Keller Williams world. That's roughly about 2.3 to 2.5 in sales. So hitting that for the first time was a good feeling. Getting different awards and whatnot have been and accolades throughout the year. Being invited to be a part of the leadership committee, the ALC, which I served on for 3 years there. That those are great things, and it shows that you're feeling valued. Plus, you feel like you're providing value to others, because ultimately that's what I'm all about is providing value and also being around people that provide a value to me as well, because that's how I'm going to grow as a a person and as a professional. So those are, getting to be part of panels and all, that's all been awesome over the years. And the video channel that we did for probably 4 or 5 years, doing the monthly things, those were all very satisfying and rewarding experiences for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we always used to see that you were doing a lot of training and coaching at Keller Williams. Do you think that's like your past life as a teacher kind of helped you in that, and that's a sense of collaboration is a good thing? It's kind of like spearheaded you into having a passion for giving back to real estate agents in the area?
Absolutely. Going back to one of your initial questions was, would I go back and do it over again? Well, without that education piece of years ago, I wouldn't have had the passion to teach classes or be a part of panels or anything that was sharing information to help others grow as well. So, that's a huge passion of mine, is definitely wanting to lift others up and to help out their business.
So I recently seen that you made a switch from Keller Williams to Nest Realty.
Yes.
Does that change anything for your existing clients or new clients? Can they still find you the same way? If you want to talk about it a little bit,
Absolutely.
feel free to.
Yeah. So the last 48 hours have been my phone has blown up, as they say, with texts and messages and all. And so it was made official just yesterday that I'm with Nest Realty. And in terms of, I have a couple of transactions to close out with Keller Williams for a couple of buyers that I have under contract. That will still go the same. My information is still the same. I'm still moving social media stuff and all website stuff over, yet the service and implementation of everything will still go as usual. Keller Williams was great. I had 2 active listings, and they were great with helping me to withdraw those. And then yesterday I relisted them with Nest. So everything was made about as seamless as possible, because at the end of the day, it's about the clients that you're working for, no matter which brokerage that you're with.
Absolutely. So you do a lot of cool things, like you have like a Hookies meetup, and you've actually told me before you drive a lot of business out of there. Tell me how you take your passions and turn them into deals.
I think the thing with the Virginia Tech Hokies, the alumni chapter, is I got to be a part of the board. I still am part of the board, but I think seeing me at events, and I help to plan a lot of the events. I help to promote a lot of the events. So I think there's this natural thing of, hey, this guy's working hard for our chapter, so he'll work hard for me as a real estate agent. So it goes back to building relationships, building trust, and knowing that you'll do the right thing. So yeah, probably close to a fourth of my business every year is somehow Virginia Tech related. So I hope now with Nest, which started in Charlottesville, Virginia, they also have a branch in Blacksburg, which is the Hokie Nation area. I'm hoping that's going to help to build further relationships with the Virginia Tech community, because obviously a lot of engineering jobs are in this area.
Yeah.
So they're all
migrating
down this way. So, so yeah, the Bourbon Group I've helped several people through the Bourbon Group that I have, and then the barbecue club that I run, a few there, Food Trucks of Greenville. So all of those, they see me a lot, they know me a lot. I run my subdivision neighborhood page, and I've done several transactions with neighbors in there as well. So it goes back to just building those relationships and building a level of trust.
And I know one question probably everybody's wondering is if you're going to spearhead a Clemson group. I know I've seen on Facebook your love and passion for Clemson, so I thought I'd just bring it up.
That's what we call fake news in today's world, everybody. But yeah, I truly do. I love. I don't want to say I love Clemson because I like Clemson. I like what they represent. I love my friends that are Clemson fans, but I love even more to give them a hard time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, you know me, Chris. There's a level of me that does like to stoke the fire, so to speak, stir the pot, and I do enjoy that. That maybe I can start a Clemson Tiger stirring
Pot
page.
stirring page.
Pot stirring page.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. I always have a good time reading them. Kind of tells, some realtors, they have a special niche, like price points they like to work in. Some work with all. Where do you kind of land?
That's a good question. I work a lot with engineers, so those are your very analytical people, and so I know going into, I love presenting the actual data to them. Stuff at Zillow or any other site is not showing them. So I know when I'm going into a consultation with an engineer-minded person or a very analytical person that I'm going to have this, and this prepared to show the different graphs and everything. That's I'd say, I don't want to say if that's a niche or anything like that. I love working with first-time home buyers because their excitement and enjoyment just going through the whole buying process it kind of just spreads to everybody involved, and it helps to get you excited as well. So I love working with first-time home buyers. I work a lot with people. Relocation is another one. I help, obviously, a lot of people relocate to the area. Lots of people I've got a big Virginia connection, so definitely helping a lot of people from Virginia to get to the area. So, yeah, it kind of goes across. I do tend to have a higher price point than most realtors do compared to the average here in Greenville. So I do work with, I guess you would say, upper middle class and above. I just think that they appreciate my strengths for whether it's negotiating or whether it's communication or just making it as seamless of a transaction as possible.
So moving here from Virginia, are there any places in Greenville that kind of make you feel like you're back at home per se?
Well, where I grew up in Roanoke, I would say Greenville is everything I wished Roanoke would have become, and it is kind of, it's surrounded by the mountains, so it's kind of in a bowl, so to speak. So unfortunately, they can no longer like upgrade their airport, which would definitely be helpful to the area. Some of the bigger businesses like Advance Auto has slowly pulled out of the area. Norfolk and Southern has slowly pulled out of the area. And a lot of it is because it's as gorgeous and as beautiful as those mountains are for nature and hiking and biking and fishing and all that. It's helped to limit some of the growth to a certain extent. But Roanoke does remind me a lot of Greenville, probably would have been early 2000s Greenville. And another place that comes to mind is Chattanooga, Tennessee, where my wife grew up. So those are all areas that are very similar to Roanoke. Roanoke kind of doubled down a little too much on the whole brewing industry, and now that fad has kind of gone away. It's like, but they do have Carilion hospitals there, which is a pretty big deal. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Kind of just to wrap it up, if there's something that we didn't touch, is there anything that you would want people looking for a realtor to know about Donald Barbour and why they should select you or interview at least?
Yeah, absolutely. obviously, when I talk to people for the first time, the one thing they look for is honesty. Who doesn't want honesty? Now I want you to just flat out lie to me. But just knowing that integrity plays a big part, even if it means walking away from a deal and walking away from money, the integrity part is going to always stand first and foremost with me, because I've let deals slide that and have been able to sacrifice some things on my business end to help a transaction or to help move away. Sometimes you've got to move away from it. I've had 2 this year that within the last 2 weeks, for various reasons, they've just kind of fallen apart. So it's knowing that at the end of the day, you are there to do what's best for your clients, no matter what, even if it means losing out on a payday, so to speak, or whatever. It's about doing the right thing, plain and simple. So that's, I think they know my social media presence, that I will help them on a listing side, help in promoting that home and doing the YouTube videos and pictures and drone and all that stuff. But you know, I think they're just having somebody with integrity is I think what a lot of people ultimately want when doing a transaction. That's going to look out for their best interest.
Absolutely. And knowing you for a couple of years, I know that's definitely something that you value and you portray a lot. So 100% can vouch for Donald. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
All right.
And that is it.